Good morning, everybody, and welcome along to. Actually, sorry, I'm saying good morning, but for some, it could be afternoon. So, depending on where you're tuning in from this morning, good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, whatever it is. But welcome along to today's session. We're talking about AI in Excel, okay? And we're going to touch on some of the AI, the brilliant AI tool that comes with free with Excel, and I'm also going to talk about Copilot. Now, what I want to do this morning is I want to just distinguish between there's kind of two, if you break it down, there's kind of two essential versions out there. There's the enterprise version, which is what we're going to talk about today. So if you have a subscription to Office 365, you have the enterprise version of Copilot. And then you have the paid license. Because often people ask me, how can I know? How can I tell if I have the paid license? Well, the first thing I would say to you is you'd know straight away because there's an expense on top of having the paid license. But I will show you where you can find it. Today, I'm going to talk about the enterprise. Some people like to call this the free version of Copilot, but it's not really free because, well, you have to have your subscription and so on and so forth like that as well. So, just to introduce myself, my name is Owen. I work for a company called IACT. We're the International Academy of Computer Training, and we specialize in all things Microsoft 365. And the hot topic at the moment, as everybody knows, is AI and Copilot. And we're hearing all things. ChatGPT, I mean, Gemini, I could spend probably the next half an hour listing off all these. Today, as I said, I want to talk about the brilliant AI tool that comes with Excel, and then I want to talk about Copilot Enterprise because it surprises so many people on what you can do with actually the Copilot Enterprise version if you didn't. Because not everybody will get access to the licensed version because I think it's something like $30 per month per user. So again, there's a fair bit of expense involved in that. But what I will say is the Copilot Enterprise version is absolutely brilliant. And I'm going to show you exactly what it can do in Excel. But I want to show you and just talk about it briefly, but you can still use it in Word, in the likes of PowerPoint, and so on and so forth. So that's what today's session's all about. And what I would say to you is I have my colleague Fiona in the chat there. So if you will have any questions throughout this session, I'm going to do about 30 minutes. But if you have any questions throughout this session, please, by all means, throw them into the chat area. Even if you just want to say hello and tell us where you're from, because I know we've got a number of people joining us from different countries around the world. So again, please, by all means, don't be afraid to use that chat area. The other thing just to say is that this session is being recorded. All right. So at the end of the session, generally takes about 30, 40 minutes, whatever, for the video to render. You'll get a nice email. And in that email will be a link to this recording. So if you need to rewatch this again, you are more than welcome to do that as well. If you do have any questions at the end of this session and you want to know more about Copilot, or maybe you're thinking about training your staff, not just on the paid license version, but the enterprise version, the one that we're going to talk about today, you can always contact me. That's my email address there, owen@iact.ie will get you through to me as well. The other thing I'm going to say to you is, and here's another little free tip to you. Over the last 20 something weeks, we've been running a campaign in IACT called One Tip, One Change. And basically what we're doing is every Friday, we release a short 30-second to maybe a minute long video of a tip, trick, and shortcut, all free. Okay. I mean, who doesn't love a good old tip when it comes to Microsoft 365? So we've been doing so far, I think we've done 23 weeks. We're going to continue into 2026. So if you get a chance, that's the QR code there, or you can just go to LinkedIn and you can follow us on our LinkedIn page. And in there, you will see all the videos that we've done. I've done stuff on Excel, on Word, on Copilot. There's quite a few of them, and we're going to continue those into the new year as well. So get a chance, follow us on our LinkedIn page, IAC, the International Academy of Computer Training, or you can just follow that QR code there as well, just to say that as well. Also, because it's Christmas, we decided, well, do you know what? why don't we offer a little discount? So if you book a Copilot session with us, whether it be the enterprise version or it be the pro license version training that you're looking for, or both, we are offering an exclusive offer for December, and that is 10% off. So if you book within December, you will get a 10% discount as well. Just to say to you, Copilot and using some of these AI tools that you're going to see today are actually also integrated into our Accelerate program. So if you're a big Excel user or a big fan, I call myself a big Excel nerd because I spend every day, all day in Excel. And I have to say, when you compare Excel to what it was, and I've been using it for over 20 years, to what it is today, there is just no comparison. And you know the big thing that people struggle with when it comes to Excel? Formulas. How many of you out there go, oh, formulas, and what do you start thinking back to? Your maths days, and oh, I have to build these big complex. Well, do you know what? This is where Copilot and some of the AI tools are going to step in and help you in a huge, huge way. And you're going to see that today. But just to say to you, we have a program called the Accelerate program. And what we do is we start from kind of tips and tricks, and we work right up to, you know, it's a kind of a webinar series that we do over, it can be over a 10-week period, or depending on how long you want to stretch it over. And these sessions are about 60 minutes, but they take you from a basic level right up to an advanced level. We start talking about Power Query. I mean, for those of you out there that use Power Query, how good is that tool? It's a game changer when it comes to Excel. So again, what you'll see is that program progress all the way through. And what we've been doing over the last year, and we've actually started already for 2026, we have a lot of companies coming to us asking us, would we build an employee learning journey for them? Okay, and this is just an example of one that we did in 2026. And a lot of people are asking us, can we start with Copilot? I want to do 2 sessions. I want to do the majority of staff who are going to be using the enterprise, and then the small select few, because it's paid, you have to pay on top of it. We're going to do a licensed version as well. And I'm going to show you both. I'll talk about both today as well. But we do create these learning journeys, and it's a great way of kind of integrating learning over the, you know, the 12 months of the year. It can be, you know, we do it in slots as well. But I mean, again, if you're looking for that journey, and again, what's brilliant about these webinars is they're 60 minutes, they can be 90 minutes, but they're short, sharp learning sessions. And that's what people are loving about those at the moment, that they're not having to take half a day off, whatever, and they can follow along with these journeys as well. So we create those on a regular basis. The other thing just to say to you as well, in 2026, we're starting a new Academy Club. And in that Academy Club, you also get live webinars, you get extensive online courses. You'll see there's a learning hub, an admin dashboard, and, you know, where you can kind of test yourself, test your knowledge, that kind of thing as well. So if any of these interest you, please contact us at IACT. You'll get it at my email address, owen@iact.ie, or info@iact.ie as well. We'll get you through to us. Or if you have any questions about any of those. Here's the big thing. And this is something I ask so many users out there. Forget about AI just for a second and Copilot, but let's talk about Excel, or even let's talk about Microsoft. And I say this to so many people when it comes to Excel. Excel is evolving. Are you? And what I mean by that is, how many of you out there have been using Excel for numerous years? And the problem is you're still doing things the old way. Because with every new release of Microsoft, they're bringing out new stuff all the time. And I'm going to show you one of the tools today. It's called Analyze Data. It's an AI tool that now comes with Excel. And it's just brilliant because it's doing so much of the work for you. You ask yourself the question, when you're working these applications, there has to be a better and quicker way to do this. Because if you're asking yourself that question, there is. And again, as I would say to you, it's only when you come on sessions like these or those learning journeys, or you see our tips and tricks, and you discover, wow, like I didn't know that button or that tool existed. I was doing things, I said that to so many people, yeah, I was doing things the long way. I mean, think about now when I show you Copilot Enterprise, how you can use it to build formulas for you. I mean, that's the brilliant part about it. You tell it what you want using what we call natural language. So you don't have to have a degree in AI or whatever. This is just using natural language to say, this is what I want. Build that formula for me. And this is where it's all going to come into play. It's about getting, and I say this all the time, it's about getting Excel to do the work for you. You are asking yourself constantly, you know what, there has to be a better way. There is. And you'll see some of those examples today. And this is something I have people say to me as well. Oh, because you're talking about AI and it's in the news and we're seeing it all the time. I mean, how good are those AI and robotics now? That in the next 5 years, we could all have, you know, the likes of Optimus, that robot that Tesla are creating, Elon Musk is creating. Okay. And people say to me, yeah, oh, I'm afraid that AI is going to be taking my job. But I say, well, you know what? It won't be AI really taking your job. It'll be the person that's using it that will. Because wait, you see, even on this small session today, watch how much more proficient you can become. So look, rather than me talk about how brilliant this is, why don't I just show you? So the first thing I'd like to show you, I'm using, by the way, just to let you know, I'm using the latest version of Excel. It's called Excel 365, Microsoft 365. It's a subscription based, okay? And what that basically means is you're getting the latest, you know, anytime Microsoft bring out a new formula tool, whatever, once there's an update, you'll get that latest, okay? So this is kind of what it looks like. And I'm just going to show you a small data set that I'm working with here. I have a table here. And in this table, it's not a particularly large data set, by the way. You can see there's only 76 rows. In actual fact, 75 and the heading make it 76. All right. But the one thing I do want to show you here is this. When you're using this AI tool that I'm going to show you, when you're using the likes of Copilot, whether it be the enterprise or the pro license version, you need to be using tables in Excel. Okay. The first thing I would say is when it comes to Excel and your data, that's the most important part of Excel. Because if your data is wrong in any way, shape or form, obviously it has that knock-on effect. Doesn't matter how good you are with your formulas, pivot tables, that kind of thing. That's why I just love that Power Query tool. Takes your data, tidies it up, cleans it up, puts it back into Excel, and straight away you can start analyzing it. But the one thing you do need to be able to use these AI tools, Copilot, Power Query, Power BI, are tables. Tables make your data global and they make it dynamic. And trust me when I say this, they are two key words you want when you're working with Excel. Global, if I name a table, I can use that name in any worksheet of that workbook. Dynamic, are you adding new data to your table? Whether it be one row at a time, maybe it's 100 rows at a time, 1,000 rows at a time. If that's a table, your data is dynamic. In other words, it's growing constantly with your information. So if you start using tables and then base your formulas on those tables, guess what happens? Your formulas now become dynamic. The amount of time people waste putting in much larger ranges in their formulas because they want to allow for new data being added. Tables are the way forward. If you are not using tables in your spreadsheet, trust me, you should be. And again, when we go through these learning journeys and that 10-session webinar that I showed you there, we talk about the importance of tables and how they work with your formulas and how then you can progress on from there. This one, right? Very simple bit of data. You can see it's got a year column, category, product, sales, and rating. So I want to analyze this. So if I said to you, okay, what was the best-selling product, or break it down by category, or what was our best-selling year. You might say to me, yeah, no problem, I'll go to filter here, and you might start filtering and getting your data the way. Or maybe you'll start using brilliant functions like count ifs and sum ifs and, these statistical functions. Superb, but they take a while. Or you might say to me, well, do you know what? I'll build a pivot table. How good are pivot tables? Well, this is where the AI tool, the free AI tool that comes with Microsoft. Now, depending on the version you're using at the moment, okay, if you haven't updated your Excel 365 at the moment, you might find it under your Home tab over to the far right here called Analyze Data. But recently it's been moved. It's now in your Data tab and it's over here, okay? And you'll see there's a button called Analyze Data. Now watch how good this is. In a split second, all I'm going to do, not highlight my data, just click inside my table and I click on the Analyze Data. And in seconds, it highlights the whole thing. Okay, highlights the entire data set and now starts to give me insights into that data. So you can see as I scroll down here, it's suddenly saying, okay, well, look, here's a breakdown of your data by sales, by product, and by year. It's even got a couple, that's a pivot table. It's even got a couple of charts in here. If I don't like any of those, I can always ask for more. But what if I like the first one? Actually, that's exactly what I was looking for. I was looking for a sales by breakdown by year. Brilliant. All I have to do next, click on the insert pivot table and look, it inserts a new sheet for me and inserts a pivot table for me. I didn't have to do the work. I got Excel to do it for me. All I did, clicked inside it, clicked on my brilliant new Analyze Data button, and it built a pivot table for me. Now, by the way, not that building pivot tables takes that long to do, but how good is that? But it gets better because you can now start to ask questions based on this data. So the data that it's just analyzed, you can start to ask it questions. And again, it's about using what we call natural language, keeping it simple. Okay, so I could come along and I could say, okay, what was our best selling product? Okay, nice and simple, natural language, hit enter, look at that. In a split second, come back and said, that's tires and tubes at 86,200, and I can insert that as a pivot table if I wish. Or I can come back and say, okay, well, that was the product. What about category? And I can just type it in here, and you can see instantly that's accessories at 383,800. And again, I can insert that as a pivot table. Or if I wanted to find out what was the best-selling year, look at that. You can see I'm getting results back instantly. And that's a free AI tool that comes with Microsoft 365. There are AI tools that come with PowerPoint. You've probably seen it, the lovely designer option, that as soon as you start building a presentation and you start putting pictures or shapes or whatever it is, you get these kind of designer ideas. Here's how to make your presentation look much better. The same way in Word, it has AI tools. Outlook have them, and they all come free. Today, I just wanted to talk about the AI tool called Analyze Data, found in your Data tab, and how good is that? Now, obviously, if you want to go in to a much deeper level of that, well, then what you would need then is probably Copilot. Okay, because maybe I wanted to start building formulas for me and so on and so forth. Let me give you an example, right? I have one here just to show you what the free version, the Copilot enterprise version will do for you. Now, what you've probably noticed that if you're using Microsoft Teams, down on your navigation pane on the left-hand side, you've probably noticed the Copilot icon appear. If it hasn't, click on the three little dots. It'll give you the option to add the Copilot icon there. So it doesn't matter whether you're using the free or the full version. The same way you can also, if you're using Windows 11, there's the Copilot. So if I go into Windows here and I just type in Copilot, you can see there's the Microsoft 365 Copilot app. And again, doesn't matter whether you're using whether you're using the enterprise version or the full version. This is what the app looks like here. And I'm just going to show it now. Give me a load of instructions here, but that's okay. Now, just before I go in and show you how good this is, okay? And I'm going to show you it helping with error messages. I mean, how many times you've got an error message in Excel and suddenly gone, I have no clue what that means. Right, I'll go off and Google it, right? But this is where Copilot steps up. Or how many times have you said, I need a formula that will take this value here, go find it in here, and maybe pull back the name of that person or their address or whatever. Now, anybody who's well experienced in Excel knows the answer to that question. It's called a lookup, and lookups are brilliant. You might use a VLOOKUP on a daily basis. But did you know there's a brand new one out there called an XLOOKUP? I mean, if you use VLOOKUPs, wait and you see, and I'll show you in a minute, exactly what an XLOOKUP can do for you as well. But again, I'm going to use Copilot to help with all of that as well. But let me show you. How can you tell? And this is just for those of you that are sitting there going, right, well, I don't know if I've got the enterprise version, which you should do, but I don't know whether I've got the licensed version. Maybe my company has paid for it. Well, it's fairly straightforward and fairly obvious that if you open up any of the Microsoft Office applications like Excel, if you have the licensed version, if you go into your Home tab, you will see there is a Copilot icon sitting in there. So what that basically means is, as I'm working on this file, if I need a hand with a formula, I can just click on this button here and ask it to help me. The same way in Word, you'll see the Copilot icon, the same way in PowerPoint as well. So if you don't have that icon, you have the enterprise version. Let's call it, I don't like calling it the free version because it's not really free because you're paying for your Office 365 subscription and so on and so forth. Now, if I'm bringing up Copilot, so because what I want to be able to do here is help with this, for example, this error message. Now, if I'm using the licensed version, I could just click here and ask Copilot to help me with that error message. But because I'm using the enterprise version, I just have to go around about in a slightly different way because I can't directly access this. So what I've done is I've taken a quick screenshot of this here, of this error message, okay? And with that screenshot, what I want to be able to do is just say to Excel, take that screenshot and tell me what the problem is or help me with that error message, okay? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go back to Copilot. And I'm just going to say, can you help me with the following error? Okay, now, again, I could just type in #div0 and it might give me, well, that's a div0. But what I want to be able to do here, and I want you to be aware of this, using Copilot Enterprise. All right, now you would have to talk to your IT guys about this, but with Copilot Enterprise, the free version, you get enterprise security. What that basically means is if you're currently using Teams, SharePoint, and OneDrive, you have the enterprise security, which means that when you're accessing your documents, only you can access them with your login credentials and so on and so forth. The same applies with Copilot Enterprise. That if at any point I wanted to access any of my documents, I can use a / and it'll show me, look, people in my organization, files, the same way if I was in Teams, the same way if I was in SharePoint. So that's the brilliant part about it. Because people are often asking, well, if I bring up a document, does that mean Copilot and the internet have access? No, because I'm using the enterprise data protection, the enterprise security that comes with SharePoint, Teams, and so on and so forth. So just to bear that in mind. Because I can use Copilot, and we're talking about Excel today, but I could use Copilot to say, here's a 30, 40-page document, summarize that for me. Not only can I ask it to do that, but I could then say, turn that into a PowerPoint presentation. And that's with the free version or the enterprise version. Okay, now with this one, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say, right, what I want to do is add, I've taken a screenshot of that error message just to show you here. Look, So I'm just going to go and find that error message. There it is there. Okay. It's just a screenshot. What I've basically done is just taken a screenshot of that error message. So all I'm going to say here is, can you help me with the following error? And all I'm going to do is click on this. And what it'll do now is, look, see, there's a little error. It's got the cell references in there. It's telling me it's a div 0 and so on and so forth. What's brilliant about this is it comes back and said, well, that's a div error. So it's able to read that picture, right? It's saying, well, you're using a formula that's saying, in other words, anybody who's come across a div 0 saying, I can't divide by 0, okay? But what makes this even better is it explains what's going on. It then says, here's how you fix it. But even better, it builds a formula that I can use. So I could just take this using the cell references, look, copy that, come back to my Excel file, replace that with my new formula that Copilot built, and look at that. No more div 0. When I put a value in here, you can see it instantly kicks in. I'm getting Copilot now to do the work. Now, again, as I said to you, because I'm using the enterprise version, if I was using the licensed version, I would have been able to kind of just directly say what's wrong with that. But because I have to go about a roundabout way, I just took a simple screenshot, snipping tool, stuck it into Copilot and said, what's wrong here? And it was able to use the cell references, read that picture. I mean, how good is that? But it gets better. Look at this one. So I explained, I have now it's only a small table here, right? And what I would like to be able to do is anytime a client ID is put in, I want it to pull back the name. Now, if you're a big enough Excel user, you're going to say to me straight away, yep, that's a VLOOKUP. Use them day in, day out. And if you're an even bigger Excel nerd like me, you'd probably say, actually, I'd use the brilliant new XLOOKUP. All right? But maybe you don't work with either, right? So what I want to be able to do is say, whatever client ID I put into G2, go look in this range here and pull back the name of that person. Okay, so let's go with name. It could be address or email. So what I'm going to do, and again, if I was using the licensed version, I could just click in here and ask it to do it. Because I'm using the enterprise, I just have to go a slight roundabout way. And all I'm going to do is going to highlight this table here, copy it. And I'm going to come back to Copilot, right? And it's just going to say, can you help me build a formula that will look up the value in G2 in the following list and pull back the name. Okay, and all I'm going to do is that list that I'm just going to copy and paste it in. Okay, so all I've said is, can you help me build a formula? And again, I'm just using natural language. I don't have to be very specific here, but can you help me build a formula that will look up a value in G2 in the following list and pull back the name? And if I click here, I'm going to let it go off and let Copilot start to do the work for me. Because what's great about this is, I just use one or two little references here. I've kind of copied it. I basically just copied in and pasted the table back in. But what it's going to do now is, look, it's come back now with a couple of results, and it's saying, absolutely, since you want to kind of look for the client ID in G2, return the name, and here it is. Is your data normal range A2 to D2? So it's just basically saying, is your range A2 to D5? Yes, it is. And look at that. It's now come back with not the VLOOKUP, but it's come back with the brilliant new XLOOKUP. Okay? And it's even using the ranges that I have in here. So based on what I told it, you know, it's saying take whatever's in G2, go look in A, pull back B, and if it's not found, give me back the message, because that's what you can now do with this brilliant XLOOKUP. Okay? It even comes back and says, well, look, there's a few options in here. You can really go into that. I mean, I could actually just say to it, well, actually, can you use a VLOOKUP instead. I don't want to use the XLOOKUP, but I like this one. So all I'm going to do here is I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to go back to my Excel formula. And if I put that in here, Control V, look at that. So anytime I put an extension number in, 2345 or a client ID, it pulls back the name. But again, then if I don't have anything in there, I can have it as a 0 or, sorry, I'll just adjust that formula to say not found. Okay, because that's one of the brilliant parts, by the way, of the XLOOKUP, that if it doesn't find a result, you can either say leave it as 0 or not found or whatever. But that's for a whole new day. But the fact that maybe I've never seen an XLOOKUP before, and now Copilot is actually doing the work for me. Now, as I said to you, if I was using the licensed version of that, I could have just clicked in here and asked it to do that for me. But because I'm using the enterprise, the chat version, I just have to go a slight roundabout way because I can't directly access it that way. Okay, look, I hope that's kind of 30 minutes. I hope that gives you just a small insight into the brilliant AI tool that comes with Excel for free, and then this Copilot chat option that you have, that if you need a hand building formulas, analyzing data, even as I mentioned, working in Word, taking a massive Word document, saying, take that document, summarize it for me. Or for those of you that are using, maybe example, one I use when it comes to Word, a tender. And we're sending out tenders all the time, and I need to change certain aspects of it. Instead of me manually doing it, I can get Copilot to do it. So look, that's us done for today. I hope you've picked up a couple of things. As I said to you, this session is being recorded. If you do have any questions or queries, you can get us at owen@iac.ie or info@iac.ie as well. We'll get you through to me. And also, if you do have any questions, you are more than welcome. I know that Fiona's been working the chat area there as well. So if you did have any questions, you can also put them in there too. Other than that, have a wonderful day, and I'll hopefully see you all in the new year. Thanks a million, guys.